We're doing today, we're doing standard 6.02, Paleolithic Man. Paleolithic Man is old Stone Age. Paleo means old, lithic means stone. Now there's going to be two Stone Ages we talk about. We're going to talk about Paleolithic, which is old Stone Age, and we're going to talk about Neolithic, which is new Stone Age. Okay, and it all has to do basically is where they lived and what they got for food. Everybody's heard of hunter-gatherers or caveman. Everybody's heard of cavemen. Hey guys, cavemen were Paleolithic men. Let's make sure that we get out of our head that Paleolithic man was just a no, they weren't. Man is smart. Okay? Man is smart. Man back then were just as smart as you. They didn't have all the knowledge. They didn't have all the technology, but that had to come from somewhere, didn't it? Man grows, just like you grow as you get older. Get out of your head that ancient people were not smart. Man is smart. They were smart. They could tell what time it was by looking at the sky. Okay? They could pick a mushroom off a tree and know that if they wrapped it around their hand, it could heal their hand. Okay? You couldn't do that, could you? They could track an animal and know where it's going. You couldn't do that. Okay? Mankind is smart. Old Stone Age man was smart. Okay? Make sure we understand that. Poirier, you're going to walk around the class, out of the camera, over here, and you're going to hit the down arrow. Just bring your notes. You don't got to bring everything. Just bring your piece of paper. It's got the notes on. All right, so prehistoric man and early humans. What were our earliest ancestors? What were their lives like? Next. Okay, so our head scratcher. Here's what I want you to answer on your paper. You don't have, obviously you don't have to. Don't say anything. Head scratcher. Do you like camping? So you're going to answer that question. What is fun about it? What is hard about it? If you are left alone in the woods for 30 days, could you survive? Explain why or why not. Now, you're going to see some of this in Spanish. Okay? Several years ago, I had a student who could not speak any English. Okay? She was just as smart as anybody else. So I did the best I could to translate it just to help her. So just ignore that. It's not going to be on all the notes this year, but it helped her. Okay? You just keep it right there. And I'm going to give you about 30 seconds. If you don't get done writing, as a matter of fact, you don't have to write on this one because we're filming, okay, and we're not going to talk about it. So you're going to either raise your hand or shake your head when I ask you a question, okay? So, do you like camping? Raise your hand if you like it. Raise your hand if you've never been camping. Okay, so you don't know whether you like it or not. Okay, I recommend you try it. What's fun about it? Raise your hand if you can think of two things right off the bat that's fun. Okay, making fire, sitting by the fire is fun, isn't it? Yeah, eating the snacks and stuff is fun, isn't it? Sometimes people go fishing when they go camping. That's fun, right? Sleeping in a tent. That's fun. Or sleeping in a cabin. That's fun. Okay. Make sure you understand that was prehistoric man. Okay. They had a fire. Right? They would fish or hunt. Okay. And they would have a tent. So that's just basically you're being prehistoric man. That doesn't mean you don't know anything. Okay. You're just living like they did. Okay. Now here's one. Now you guys are all 10, 11 years old. Correct? Okay. Raise your hand if you think if you were left alone in the woods for 30 days, you could survive. Many of you. Everybody knows, understands what's the most important thing you got to take care of, right? Most important things we got to find is water, right? You can survive about 30 days with no food. Okay, you can't survive more than 3 days without water. You got to have water. Next important thing, we got to have some kind of shelter. You got to have sleep. You can't go long periods of time without sleep. Okay, then we're going to get to the food. You agree? All right, good. Next. So our essential question, you will write this down. Our essential question is, how did prehistoric man survive? Now, you don't answer that question. That's just our EQ. That's the question that we are going to answer today. How did prehistoric man survive? The number one thing I've already told you, because man is smart, right? Man is smart. Trying to see what Chloe's going to get here. Raise your hand if you're still right. Sometimes what you'll see is I'll film this, we'll film our class, and you guys will usually be the guinea pigs. Okay? We'll film in your class, and then my voice wears out, and I'll just have them watch me teaching in the other class. So I'll use my own video of me teaching you all to supplement learning with them. It's kind of fun. But you can also watch this at home. So if you can tilt that, well, you don't need to tilt that now, don't worry about that. It's at Kevin Kendall 49, or 409. Now remember, I'm not going to make any money off of this. It's just to help you. Show your kids one day. Look, that was my social studies teacher. He was my favorite teacher. All right, next. So what are we doing? We're discovering what the most important factor in survival of prehistoric man was. We're learning where people settled, and we're analyzing the importance of fire. Okay? Why? Why are we doing this? Knowing that the historical time of prehistoric, that's the last one. Knowing how prehistoric man survived will help us understand how they thrive. Raise your hand if you know what the word thrive means. Everybody knows it means to do well, right? To do well. Okay, there's a difference between surviving and thriving. Okay? Surviving is just basic. Okay? That's just not dying, not getting to eat, not starving, not freezing to death. Thriving is doing well. Okay, next. The part of prehistory that made the earliest humans live through is called the Stone Age. The name comes from the materials that was used to make most of their tools. They make tools out of other materials too. All right, so the part of history, the earliest, you need to write this one, and you need to write this one. The first one and second one. First one and second one. Write the first sentence and the second sentence. Nod your head, you right here in front of me, if you have talked to your parents about glasses.
Yeah.
Okay, making sure. Don't say anything. That's all right. I just want to make sure that we're on the same page because you need them. I was you in the 6th grade. I couldn't see anything. I'm going to start calling you Squints. Of course, you got a lot of nicknames anyway, don't you? I don't need to give you any more, you got plenty. Okay, write the first and second sentence. The beauty of doing this at the same time, doing this in real time, is when I show this to other kids, they'll have time to write it down because you're getting the time to write it down. If you're doing this at home, you'll also have time to write it down, but if you need to pause it, you can. Up if you finish the first sentence. Okay, I advise you to go on the second. If we have to move on, you're still writing. Just leave yourself space that you can copy your friend's notes later. come back to it. There's no need to stress or get worried about that at all. You can always copy your friend's notes. We can do it in extension class. So the main thing that we're doing right now is listening. Listening. And remember, you can watch this at home to make sure you know what's going on. Okay, we're not going to speak. Go back there. You're going to get out a clean sheet of paper, and then you're going to write your first and last name, the date, and the class period. This is the title, okay? And then you're going to leave a space big enough, like she's got right here, is for you to come back and copy the first note in a little while, okay? Guys, you got about 30 seconds. 30 seconds before I move on. I'm going to give her time to get her paper out. If you don't get this note copied, just leave yourself space. You'll be able to copy it in a little while. Good job, thank you. Good job. All right, next. So, what did Paleolithic Man use for tools? You're going to remember this the rest of the year. 5 main things. The age is called the Stone Age, isn't it? So, what we're going to use, Paleolithic Man will use for tools is stone, bone, antler, ivory, and wood. Paleolithic Man used stone, bone, antler, ivory, and wood. Okay? We're all going to repeat that silently. Stone, bone, antler, ivory, and wood. Notice I did not say metal. I didn't say metal. They will smelt metal later, which is not what the first metal they're going to smelt is copper. Okay? But we're not using metal yet. Stone, bone, antler, ivory, and wood. You absolutely write this down. You write down the 5 things. You're going to write down, make sure you add stone. The 5 things that Paleolithic Man used for tools. So there's your first sentence. The 5 things that Paleolithic Man used for tools. You can just write them, number them. Stone, bone, antler, ivory, and wood. Chloe, you weren't in here, but what I had to inform the class is something I want you to remember all year. Okay? Paleolithic man or ancient mankind. Okay? Guys, when I say Paleolithic man or Neolithic man, we do know that means mankind. Okay? Which includes women and children. Right? So there's nothing wrong with Paleolithic man, that's just part of it. Man just means mankind. Chloe, when we talk about ancient people, make sure you keep in your head that just because they lived a long time ago, just because they may have lived in caves, man is smart. They would never survived if they weren't smart. So we're not going to think of them like we think of a Disney movie. What was it? The Groods or whatever that is. Okay? Can't talk. Mankind is smart. They would not have survived without it. And I'll point that out later. That's all right. I'll point that out later as we go on. Has everybody got written down the 5 materials that man used for tools? You need another minute? Okay. You got about 30 seconds. If you do not get it down, just leave yourself space and you can copy your other notes later. Want to chill and listen. She said you can make a copy of her notes. Okay? got you taken care of. She's writing nice and neat. You don't have to worry either. You got me back here? If you don't stress, okay? Your friends will let you copy their notes. And I'm doing this on YouTube. Do it at home. Okay? Next. We're going to skip this, although we are going to come back to this. This might be one of your assignments after our test tomorrow. Next. Next again. All right. The old Stone Age. So life during the Stone Age was very different from life during later years in the Stone Age. Okay? We're not going to worry about the middle Stone Age. Okay? We're going to talk about the old and the new. We're just going to break it down into two. Next. Paleolithic age means old Stone Age. So write that down. Paleolithic. Paleo means old. Lithic means stone. The old Stone Age. Neolithic. Neo means new. Lithic means stone. Okay. Paleo old, Neo new. Two things we're going to study. Today, we're going to talk about Old Stone Age. Next week, we're going to talk about the New Stone Age. There's a big difference between the two. Okay. You're just tired. Both. Need to go to the notes? Paleolithic age means Old Stone Age. Neolithic age means New Stone Age. Next. The Paleolithic age. Paleo is the Greek word for old. Lithic means stone, therefore Old Stone Age. Neolithic age. Neo is the Greek word for new. Lithic means stone. New Stone Age. Next. So let's look at the differences. We're basically going to talk about the Old Stone Age today. We're not going to get much into the New Stone Age today. Next. All right, the old, right at the top of your right, the next note should write Paleolithic age. And then you're going to write notes underneath that. Men would hunt for meat. Women, children, old, sick, or injured men would gather whatever they could find to eat. How did they know? Raise your hand if you think they figured out what they could gather and eat. Okay? Here's how they know. If they saw Strandberg eating a berry and then she falls over dead, I better not eat that. Right? Trial and error. Trial and error. Yes, you definitely need to write this. This is Paleolithic age. Write both of these. These are called hunter-gatherers. Men would hunt. Women and children would gather. And it's not as glamorous. It's not always as glamorous as men just hunting through the wilderness. You know, man is smart, especially in America, when they hunted the buffalo or the bison, what they would do is they'd creep up on them and scare them and run them off a cliff. You don't got to fight them that way, right? Now, if you kill a woolly mammoth back in this time period, that woolly mammoth could feed a lot of people. Right? And you could use the bones. And guys, they ate everything. They ate everything. The eyeballs, the intestines, the rear end. They ate it all. Okay? You had to. You had to. I mean, we wouldn't think today about eating necks and feet. Right? But they did. You never know. I mean, it's hard to hunt. Who's still right? Next. Nope, next. We're going to skip. We're not going to do Neolithic yet. All right, continuing with the Old Stone Age. What did they use for homes? They had what's called no permanent homes. Why? Raise your hand if you know why. They had to move with what? They had to move with the food. The food moved with what? The food moved with the water. Right? Now, to say that they had no permanent homes, that is true. Does that mean they didn't come back to the same area? No. What they basically had was summer homes and portable homes. You know, in the summertime, you know, you could camp out near a cave or whatever, or stay in a cave, or just sleep in your tent near the food, near the water. Okay? When the food moved, you moved. So what they had for shelter, what did Paleolithic man use for shelter? They used caves. That's why we call them caveman. When they used caves when they could. Caves were a lot more waterproof than tents. And then they used mammoth bone huts called yurts. Okay? You just take these mammoths, clean them out, right? Because you're going to eat everything. The intestines, the snout, the feet, the tail. You're going to eat it all. Okay? Then you're going to take that skin and you're going to scrape the skin, tan the hide, make a hut. You're going to wear those clothes. It's cold outside. You're nice out there. Because people hunted and gathered, they would have to move where the food was. Homes were temporary places like caves or mammoth bone huts. A cave is much warmer than a hut. But you know, the huts were warm too. You know, man is smart. You build a fire inside those, you just leave the top open so the smoke gets out. In the cave, the smoke just goes up the side and out. Can you imagine how hard life was? Life was hard. Life was hard. So you're going to write all three of these. Still right. Leave your notes today with me because I think I'm going to make a copy. Next again. What did Paleolithic man use for clothing? Clothing was made primarily from fur of the animals that had been killed for food. The climate during the time was so cold that people had to dress to stay warm. Y'all just be quiet. So we got mammoth bone huts. We live in caves. We travel with the food. We wear fur because it's cold. Has anybody got anything made out of fur that you wear? It's very warm. It does keep you warm. Even synthetic or fake fur keeps you warm. We're done. Even if you don't get the notes done, that's okay. Watch it at home, or I'm going to make copies of her notes for everybody. But you still really need to pay attention. Raise your hand if your hand's hurting yet. Yeah, we're getting back in the swing of things, aren't we? Got one more note left. Okay. Next. Next again. Next again. Next again. Next again. All right, so this is the last note, so you're going to tilt to the board. The last thing that we're going to talk about is fire. Okay? When man learned how to control fire, we don't know quite the time, but we know how. They either picked it up from something got struck by lightning, or they just figured out by knocking these flint rocks together. But what did man use for fire? So man, you're going to write this down, used fire for 5 main things. Number 1, raise your hand if you think you know what you can use fire for. Okay? Number 1, light in the dark. You agree? Number 2, heat in the cold. Number 3, cook food. Number 4, protection. Animals are scared of fire. Protection from prey. From predators, sorry. And number 5, this is a big one. They learned how to smelt metal. Metal's in rocks. Metal's in rocks. And if you can heat, you put these rocks in fire, the rocks are not going to melt. But the metal will if it gets hot enough. It'll just drip off the rocks. You just drip it into a pan, and you can form it however you need to. Now you got metal tools. Okay? So, man used fire for light in the dark, heat in the cold, cook food, protection from predators, and to smelt metal. Raise your hand when you're done. That is standard 6.02. We got 60 standards left. Go forth and learn because knowledge is power. That's okay.